Have you ever watched a talent show audition? You know the ones, where someone stands on stage, belts out a note that sounds like a goat being stepped on, and then looks genuinely shocked when the judges say no? They aren't acting. They truly, deeply believe they are the next Whitney Houston. Is it just ego? No. It's a psychological phenomenon known as the Dunning-Kruger Effect. This is why stupid people think they know everything. Today, we're going to find out why. The less you know, the more you think you know, and why that's actually a trap for all of us. But first, we have to talk about our favorite criminal of all time, McArthur Wheeler. In 1995, Mr. Wheeler decided to rob two banks in Pittsburgh in broad daylight. He didn't wear a mask. He looked right into the security cameras, smiled, and walked out. When the police showed up at his house later that night, he was baffled. He literally said, "But I wore the juice." See, Wheeler knew that lemon juice can be used as invisible ink. In his mind, if he rubbed lemon juice all over his face, he would be invisible to the security cameras. He even tested it beforehand with a Polaroid camera. He probably aimed it wrong or had a bad film pack. And when the photo came out blank, he thought, "Eureka! I am the invisible man." This story reached a social psychologist named David Dunning. He teamed up with Dunning-Kruger, and they realized that Wheeler's problem wasn't just that he was, let's say, intellectually challenged. It was that he was too unskilled to realize he was unskilled. So, what exactly did Dunning and Kruger find? They ran a series of studies asking people to rate their own abilities in logic, grammar, and even humor. Then, they tested them to see how they actually performed. The results were consistent and honestly, kind of hilarious. The people who scored in the bottom 25%, the ones who were objectively the worst, estimated that they were in the top 60% or 70%. This gives us the famous Dunning-Kruger curve. Let's walk through the stages of learning a new skill. Stage 1 is the peak of Mount Stupid. When you first start learning something, you go from knowing nothing to knowing a little bit. This is the most dangerous place on earth because you know just enough to understand the basics, but not enough to see the vast ocean of complexity you're missing. Your confidence spikes. You read one article about cryptocurrency and suddenly you're giving financial advice at Thanksgiving. You watch 3 episodes of a detective show and you're convinced you could solve a cold case. Welcome to Mount Stupid. You have maximum confidence and minimum knowledge. Stage 2 is the Valley of Despair. If you keep learning, and this is the key, something painful happens. You start to realize how much you don't know. The curve crashes. This is the Valley of Despair. This is where most people quit. You realize that learning Spanish isn't just saying hola. It's 5 different tenses and regional dialects that make your brain melt. Your confidence hits rock bottom because you finally have enough information to realize you're currently mediocre. Stage 3 is the slope of enlightenment. If you push through the despair, you start building real competence. Your confidence grows slowly this time, but it's backed by actual evidence. You're no longer guessing, you're practicing. Finally, you reach the plateau of sustainability. You become an expert. But here's the kicker. Experts often suffer from the reverse of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Because things have become easy for them, they assume those things are easy for everyone else. They actually underestimate their relative standing. Why is our hardware so buggy? Why can't we just be realistic? It comes down to a fancy word, metacognition. Metacognition is thinking about thinking. To know how good you are at something, you need the exact same skills required to be good at that thing in the first place. Take grammar, for example. To realize your grammar is terrible, you need to understand the rules of grammar. If you don't know what a dangling participle is, you won't notice when you're dangling your participles all over the place. You lack the internal monitor to tell you that you're failing. In the words of David Dunning, the skills you need to produce a right answer are exactly the same skills you need to recognize what a right answer is. If you think a banana is a wrench, you aren't just bad at fixing cars. You're incapable of seeing why the car isn't starting. Now here's the part where you might start feeling smug. You're thinking, yeah, my Aunt Linda on Facebook is definitely at the peak of Mount Stupid. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The Dunning-Kruger effect applies to you too, and me, and that guy over there. We all have pockets of incompetence where we don't know enough to know we're bad. Maybe you think you're a great driver. Statistically, 80% of people think they are above average drivers, which is mathematically impossible. Maybe you think you're an excellent judge of character or really good at spotting lies. The scariest thing about the Dunning-Kruger effect is that it feels exactly like, well, having knowledge. Being wrong feels exactly like being right until the moment you hit the ground. So how do we fix it? How do we climb down from Mount Stupid and navigate the valley of despair without losing our minds? First, be your own devil's advocate. Instead of looking for reasons why you're right, actively look for reasons why you might be wrong. If you have a strong opinion on a complex topic, try to argue the opposite side. If you can't, you probably don't understand the topic well enough yet. Second, seek uncomfortable feedback. Don't ask your mom if your singing is good. She loves you. She'll lie to you. Ask a professional. Ask the person who will be brutally honest. True growth happens when someone points out the lemon juice on your face. Third, keep learning. The more you learn, the more the world expands. The Dunning-Kruger effect shrinks as your knowledge grows. As you move from a beginner to an intermediate level, your metacognitive skills kick in. You start to see the boundaries of your own ignorance. Finally, check your confidence. If you feel 100% certain about something you've only been studying for a week, you're probably standing on the peak of Mount Stupid. Take a breath. Look around. The view is nice, but the ground is shaky. In a world that rewards strong takes and confident leadership, admitting you don't know something feels like a weakness. But in reality, it's a superpower. Intellectual humility, the ability to say, I might be wrong about this, is the only way to actually get smarter. It's the difference between the guy who gets caught with lemon juice on his face and the guy who eventually learns how to actually be invisible. Actually, forget that part. You can't be invisible. The Dunning-Kruger effect isn't a stupidity tax. It's a human condition. We are all biased, we are all a bit overconfident, and we are all, at some point, the idiot in the room. The goal isn't to be the smartest person on earth. The goal is just to make sure that when we look in the mirror, we actually see ourselves, and not a blank, citrus-covered space. So the next time you're 100% sure you're right about that thing you just Googled 2 minutes ago, maybe take a second, check for juice. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, or if you think you're an expert on psychology now because you watched one video, hit that subscribe button.